Okay, now I don't know if you've heard of this quote, but this is a very famous quote that is attributed to Albert Einstein, and it says, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Surprisingly, I remember there was a time I used to play soccer. I still play soccer, but maybe not in my prime, but still I still have soccer. There was one day we had an official we call it bonding of team bonding. Had a team bonding. Went for a soccer game just tap maybe a five-a-side team, and in the course of the soccer game, while we're playing, a colleague just said, Simeon, what do you think? This thing, because we'll be battling about to get a result for a project for more than 2 weeks. And in the course of the football game, the idea just dropped in his mind, and he said, okay, what if we do it this way? That is what Albert Einstein means creativity is being fun. So in the course of fun, we are able to find out or derive the solution that when we were so serious in the office with our laptop, all the sophisticated software, we are not able to decipher that solution.
Welcome to Creativity Boost podcast. Today, we're going to be unpacking a very compelling conversation around business intelligence and creativity, and how you, as a creative individual entrepreneur, can leverage both of them. Today, I also have on the show an expert when it comes to business intelligence. He's going to join me on this conversation as we unpack what business intelligence is and how creativity plays into the mix. His name is Simeon, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. Hello, Simeon. How you doing?
Hi, Dafe. You are the creativity guru, so it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you were able to come on today. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you?
Okay, I can share a little bit about myself. My name is Simeon. My last name is Aligbe. For those who are close to me, they call me MI6. Well, I'm going to save us the details of why they call me MI6. So it's just that portfolio and that file is classified. So it's not. Well, I have a first degree in geology. Sometimes when I tell people I studied geology, it sounds so strange. I have a higher degree in business administration from the University of Roehampton. I also have a higher program also in Harvard University in the US, so in innovation and strategy. And I've been in the financial industry for almost a decade. I don't look as young as I may look at facially. So I majored in oil and gas. I majored in oil and gas analysis, strategy, and fixing anything about oil and gas related transaction. And also currently, I'm in the IT world where I major as a business intelligence analyst, and I also double as a business analyst. And I'm into a couple of things. I have my hand in many pies, and I'm an enthusiast. I'm a re-engineering catalyst. I disrupt the norm. So I tell people you can do more, you can be more. Well, that's just a snapshot of who I am. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for that robust introduction. And I definitely can attest to the fact that Simeon is a man of many parts. And from his introduction already, that confirms why I brought him on the show. So we're going to get right into it. What can you tell us about business intelligence? Because I believe that many people are creative, they have creative ideas, but they lack business intelligence. And I believe that with you on the show, you'll be able to help us really unpack that.
All right, thank you so much. As a young man, I followed the great Latin philosophers, the likes of Aristotle, Socrates, and the like. So, in the course of following them, I picked some of these Latin terms, and one of them is initio disputandum est definitio nomini, and it means that the definition of terms is where discussion must begin, and it sets the foundation for clarity and understanding.
Hmm.
Business intelligence is a very broad topic. It's a very broad field, and it's something you can learn a lot. First, I would define intelligence, because if you don't understand what intelligence is, you may not be able to flourish and do well in business intelligence. So
Hmm.
intelligence in this field talks about the ability to gain information, learn from experiences, adapt to one's environment with the use of reasoning skills. And business intelligence is the use of computing technologies for
Hmm.
the identification, discovery, and analysis of business data to make informed decisions. So if your ability, because business intelligence you can be taught, but a lot of time you need to be creative yourself to be
Hmm.
able to excel. There are certain things you can do as a business intelligence analyst, and one at the base of this all is your ability to pen to paper ideas, no matter how foolish they appear.
Hmm.
And business intelligence is diagrammatic, because, like they said, a picture tells 1,000 stories. So it's your ability to bring that idea to life by showing how it impacts the day-to-day running of a business. Any business that wants to be successful today should have at the base of their success good business intelligence analysis procedures, because this is what takes you from level zero to level hero. And if
Hmm.
you want to excel, that is what you need. So that's just a synopsis of what business. Then in the course of our discussion, we'll be able to align it how business intelligence pertain to creativity.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so happy that you brought that up because a lot of people have this question about the difference between creativity and intelligence. Many people don't know if they are different, if they are similar, how they really relate. And I personally took some time to like dig into that subject,
Okay.
because I've come to discover that intelligence and creativity, they can be confused a lot of times. And so I don't know if you'd like to just set the ball rolling by telling us what you understand in differentiating creativity and intelligence.
Okay, so I'll still go back to the earlier definition of intelligence, where I said it's the ability to gain information and learn from experiences. But creativity, to me, creativity has maybe a superior edge over intelligence, because creativity is piercing the mundane to find the marvelous.
Hmm.
You need to transcend intellectually to be creative. Well, I know this is your field. You have a lot of I'm also one of your students in terms of creativity. So this is your field. And creativity is an art. In the words of Pablo Picasso, the renowned artist, he said, for you to be creative, you need to have the ability of in the elimination of the unnecessary.
Hmm.
So when you're creative, you need to draw inspiration from what does not exist to what to bring into life as you see it.
Hmm.
I have a lot of words in my head, especially as it pertains to being successful as a creative person, also as a business intelligence analyst or intelligence personality. In a wise man once said, George Bernard Shaw, he said, "People see things and say why, but I dream things that never were, and I say why not." So
Hmm.
that is being creative. Creativity is about asking why not.
Hmm.
And when you define the why not, business intelligence is able to take the why not that has been defined and flesh it with life in making informed decision. So, if for instance, I have a project I'm working on, I'm able to gather a team of maybe business analysts, project managers. Let's come up with how does this affect the business, and they are able to go into their mundane to get these marvelous ideas of what we need to do to achieve that milestone. And that is where creativity comes into play. Then, as a business, as an intelligent person or an intelligent business analyst, your job is to piece together those different tools that has been put in place and put it to life, and you get a marvelous outcome.
Wow, that's really interesting. And You mentioned something in one of your previous responses about being able to derive decisions, being able to make decisions from data, and create something. I call that data driven creativity,
Yeah.
because many people, we live in a world that we are bombarded with data left, right, and center, and data simply means information.
Mhm.
And so it takes one who has the ability to mine data in a creative way, because everyone can learn how to mine data, how to use data intelligently, but it takes more than just being intelligent to be able to create solutions from data. And that's where we begin to see the intersection between business intelligence as a field and
Yeah.
creativity. Generally, what I try to do is I try to help listeners to understand the relevance of creativity in any field. So, in the business intelligence, or in the business analysis field, in the engineering field, in the medical field, in the psychology field, in the philosophy field, I've come to see that there's a pattern where creativity intersects with all of these different fields in very unique ways. And so that's part of the reasons why I try to bring people who have had different, diverse experiences across different fields and spheres of life to come on and talk about their experiences with creativity.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my next question. Being a business intelligence personnel, can you tell us any stories of how you were able to create solutions from data that was available to you? If you have any of such stories, I would like to hear.
Well, there are a couple of such stories, but maybe I will just take some at a peripheral level. You
Hmm.
know, the essence of every business is profitability,
Hmm.
and behind profitability is your ability to gather information that are available or that can be put to the day-to-day business use. And I remember we had a project one time where we needed to take the business to on a global scale to transcend beyond what we currently do in vis-a-vis what competition was offering. And what you need to do, because gathering data, like you said, intelligence is about gathering data. And for those of us who are science inclined, will tell you that data is all about zero and one. So
Hmm.
data is binary. So if you can interpret the zeros and the one, you can interpret the elements of the earth, the elements of the world, the elements of business, the elements of intelligence and creativity. So
Hmm.
we had this project where we needed to change the narrative of how we need to run the business. And one of these things is the deployment of artificial intelligence. You
Hmm.
know, we have instance where we have over thousands of workers doing a project scattered all over North America and even in the US. Then how do you put this data to get information online real time? And the first thing you need to do as a creative person or as a business intelligence analyst, you must engage. And in engagement, we talk about gathering information, discussion, to know what is applicable, because every geopolitical area or every geographical area have what is applicable to their business. And you don't put a square peg in a round hole. It must not be a one solution fit all. It has to be that there have to be diversity, there have to be inclusivity to be able to get this thing. So we're able to gather this information, put it in a pool, and run the data as it applies. And when this data is run, one, it is you as a business intelligence analyst, you can gather data, but how well do you interpret this? Interpretation is key, and the interpretation is key as it pertains and applies to what you want to do. And we're able to sync this information with, we have guys that are data analysts. We're able to sync this information with the data analysts, with the project managers, with the business analysts, business intelligence analysts. We have a when you come to a forum where like minds discuss, there's brainstorming, you put all these things together, and we're able to achieve a reasonable milestone. So in mining the information required to generate a greater output or the minimum viable product, you must be able to gather this data, able to analyze it, able to interpret it, able to make informed decision from it, and able to have a result that you can work with.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this quote, but this is a very famous quote that is attributed to Albert Einstein. And it says, creativity is intelligence having fun. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Yeah, coincidentally, I'm a student of Albert Einstein, and I have a lot different quote by Albert Einstein. Yeah, I've heard of that, which
Okay,
is
so that quote, I'm still yet to really understand what it means. So I'm super excited you've acknowledged yourself to be a student of Einstein. So what do you think that statement means, and what was the context in which Albert Einstein was, making that statement?
well, for Albert Einstein, when he discovered the theory of relativity, he was not just sitting down and maybe busting his head to say, okay, I must get this thing done. He says creativity is not just being idle.
Hmm.
Creativity is you must get busy. And in whatever form you want to get busy, it could be on the job, it could be on the playground, it could be just doing your normal thing. Because in the course, having creativity as fun is you must not be too serious.
Hmm.
Like you're working in NASA, you want to say, oh, there's something we need to break. No, creativity comes from your day-to-day activity. It comes from your day-to-day routine. Surprisingly, I remember there was a time I used to play soccer. I still play soccer, but maybe not in my prime, but still I still tap soccer. There was one day we had an official we call it bonding of team bonding. I had a team bonding. Went for a soccer game just tap maybe a five-a-side team, and in the course of the soccer game, while we're playing, a colleague just said, Simeon, what do you think? This thing, because we'll be battling about to get a result for a project for more than 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Then in the course of the football game, the idea just dropped in his mind, and he said, "Okay,
Hmm.
what if we do it this way?" That is what Albert Einstein means creativity is being fun. So in the
Hmm.
course of fun, we are able to find out or derive the solution that when we were so serious in the office
Hmm.
with our laptop, all the sophisticated software,
Hmm.
we are not able to decipher that solution. So just have it at the back of your mind that you don't have to be well. Of course, there's a place for seriousness or getting the job done for the first of locking yourself down, folding your sleeve, getting dirty, getting your hands dirty. But also
Yeah.
there is a place where for relaxation, you
Hmm.
could, you could just be sipping a cup of Tim Hortons, for instance, and
Hmm.
and that idea just pop into your head, and so that is what Albert Einstein meant. And there's also something Albert Einstein said. He said, creativity in the course of being fun. He said, creativity is saying what others see and thinking what no one else ever thought.
Hmm.
Me and you, we could be seeing something. So I remember the story of two brothers where one saw a man walking without shoes and said, "Oh,
Hmm.
what a world! See, this
Hmm.
guy, this guy is suffering. He's so poor." And the other guy said, "Man, this is an opportunity for shoes."
Yeah. A shoe
So
business. Yeah.
shoe business. So these are two people with different thoughts. So they see the same thing, but one was thinking what the other person never imagined. Yeah.
And your response has popped two ideas in my head right now. And I want to say it on record so I don't lose touch of
Mm.
the ideas. The first idea is when you talked about creativity, being intelligence, having fun, and about Einstein made reference to that to explain how that when you have all the intelligence, you have all the information, all the data, and you're in a state of relaxation, that's when creative use of those information, creative ideas can drop into your mind. And that ties into a concept I'm actually studying about recreation. Recreation, people look at recreation as just, leisure, what you do in your leisure. But I've come to discover that recreation is a part of the creation cycle. And this will be the
Mhm.
first time I'm stating it on record. There are four different parts of this cycle. There's procreation, there is creation, there is procreation, and then there is recreation. These are the four cycles of creativity. So the procreation phase is when you are gathering intelligence. It's when you know, you're preparing your mind to create something, and you're putting all the relevant data, all the relevant intelligence, picking up, gathering all the relevant intelligence. You're prepping yourself for creation. And even the Bible tells us about how God did that. The Bible says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That means God pre-existed the beginning. And then it says the earth was without form and void. And then darkness was upon the face of the deep. And then it tells us how the Holy Spirit hovered over the waters. That was also another form of pre-creation. The Holy Spirit moved over the waters, and then God said, "Light be." Light be. He was saying, "Let there be illumination." That's also part of pre-creation. And then light came. Then God started to create. That God now entered into the creation process, and then after that happened, the Bible said God rested, right? And that was recreation. So people usually talk about recreation in the light of just relaxing, but they forget to add it to the fact that it comes after you've just created, so to say, and you are recreating, you're renewing your cells, you're renewing your mind to go back to that cycle again and recreate. And then procreation, right? Procreation actually comes before recreation. Procreation is when you actually deliver that creation that you just
Yeah.
spend time creating, and then after you've procreated, then you recreate so that you can go back to pre-create. And then the cycle just goes on and on. And that is what you just drew that out of me by your response. The second part of what I want to say based off your response is that you said something about the two boys. They saw the same problem, the same data, the same information, the same intelligence came to them. One of them interpreted it differently and created something out of it. The other one interpreted it differently. And you even said something about information and data being binary, ones and zeros. The computer or the machines of today interpret data as ones and zeros, but those ones and zeros actually means yes and no. And when we look at data and interpret it in a positive way, we are dealing with the positive side of data. We are dealing with the ones. And when we interpret data in the negative way, like, oh, this thing is not possible because of this information or this data that's coming into the system, we are dealing with the negative side of the binary, which is the zero. And that brings me to my next question. I hope I have not rambled off track too much, but that brings me to my next question. And my next
That's on
question
track.
is, why do people interpret information differently? Some interpret information creatively, other people interpret information destructively, and everything comes to us based on how well we are able to interpret this business intelligence. These are business intelligence information bombarding us every day. You're seeing, you go out, you see problems, you can either interpret those problems destructively and stay stuck, or you interpret those problems creatively and make progress. And this is exactly why many people are stuck, right? They interpret the challenges they're having destructively and say, this is why I will not succeed. While other people will interpret that same situation and say, because of this, I will do this, so that I can succeed. They come up with a creative solution. So, why is it that people they use business intelligence destructively while other people use it, constructively? What makes that difference? Why would two people sit down looking at the same opportunity, looking at the same problem? One will see it as a problem, the other one will see it as an opportunity.
That's a very, when you were talking about your levels of the four levels of creativity, the pre-creation, recreation, and the others, man, it just amazed me because I've been on a path of studying some things about creativity, which in line with what you just discussed.
Wow.
Some persons could gather information. One of the greatest danger to creativity is self doubt.
Hmm.
And some persons could gather information in terms of creativity, and it could be destructive, and some others it could be creative. I can't stop but draw inferences from the Bible. I'm a Christian and I read the
Yeah.
Bible a lot, and I draw
Yeah.
because to me the Bible is one of the greatest book of creativity.
Yeah.
It when I have some different instances. Let's take the instance of Jesus, and Jesus just finished teaching 5,000 men, and they said they were
Hmm.
women and they were children. So multiply, do the mathematics. We have over 20,000 or so persons,
Yeah.
and he asked the disciples, "How do we feel this? How are we going to feed these people?" And one said, "Even if we gather the whole money, we can't do anything." Then a boy brought 5 loaves and bought some loaves and fishes. And the first response from one of the disciples was, "How will this feed these people?" So that
Hmm.
is a destructive mindset that does not know how to process data and information. But
Hmm.
Jesus, with his creative mindset, said, "You guys, just relax. This thing can be handled." And that takes me to the point where I saw a quote that says, talking about creativity, he said, "Creativity cannot be used up."
Hmm.
He said, so it means that for you to be creative, anything you see to do or any information available to you, don't have the mindset that if I delve into this, I may run out of ideas or
Hmm.
it will be used up. Because creativity is a currency. And I can boldly say it is the most important human resource available, because once
Hmm.
there's no creativity, there's no progress. Talking about information that being creative and being destructive, let's look at Joshua and Caleb in the Bible.
Hmm.
They saw some giant, and the other 10 panicked. It
Yeah.
says they are like grasshoppers in their sight.
Hmm.
This is those people taking information as zero, say no, if we go, they are going to kill us. But the
Yeah.
other two took the information as one and say, yes, we're able to crush them. Let's
Hmm.
take the instance of the lepers in the Bible that said, we can go to a village and there could be food. And one said, even if the windows of heaven is open today, it can
Hmm.
never happen. So
Yeah.
some people take information and they use the same information to destroy themselves, because
Hmm.
too much of information can also be destructive
Yeah.
if not properly managed. In
Yeah.
my in my time, one of my bosses was once mentioned something very critical and sensitive. He says, don't be in a situation where you get information that you cannot handle. He said, it is better you are not told, or it's better you don't know, because certain information, some people, when they gather some level of information, it could mad them,
Hmm.
because they are not able to harness that information. But if you flip it, some other persons, when they gather this information, they're able to channel it to the right place and get results. So the question I usually ask people is, which one are you? Do you gather information to be creative, or do you gather information to be destructive? Are you a container, or are you the content?
Hmm.
So you should be, as a creative person, you should be a content. Don't just be a warehouse where information is just dumped and you're not
Yeah.
able to use it. If you put too much information in a system, for instance, and not properly channeled, or they don't have the proper code on how to interpret this information, the system could crash.
Yeah.
All right, so that is how I say challenge information, being creative and being destructive.
Wow, thank you so much. Now, you mentioned how that you followed my works, and you've been one of my really big followers, and you gave me a very, very phenomenal story of how you traveled somewhere and you met someone who had read my book. So I don't know if you could tell us a bit about that experience.
Yeah. At the beginning of this discussion, I mentioned that I'm a key follower I'm a student of your creativity work. I have almost all your books.
Wow.
Those are books. hard copies, those I ordered from Amazon. Even this one behind you, Ignite Your Creativity, is also part in my collections. So I have a friend of mine, very close friend. We are very, very close. So one day I went to his house in back in Nigeria,
Hmm.
and I saw in his collection, I saw one of your book. I saw the 4D thinking. I saw one on kingdom currencies, and
Wow.
I asked him, "Where did you get this book?" He said, "No, it's someone." He had a discussion with someone, and then he wanted to move from the financial industry to starting his own business. There were too much insecurity there and instability in the financial industry, and he wanted to go into tech accessories. And one key thing he mentioned, he said the 4D thinking brought a dimension to him that he could never
Hmm.
imagined. He said before, maybe he said
Wow.
he was not even thinking in 1D. He said he was thinking in reverse D. Those are his words. He said his D was in reverse. But when he
Hmm.
saw your book, the 4D thinking, and this is to anyone, if you've not read that book, the 4D thinking, I read that book, I still have it. I have key points highlighted. So when he read that book, he was able to transcend from where he was to where he wanted to be. And when he started, he said he read that book a couple of times. That each
Hmm.
time he read the book, he kept seeing different Rema,
Hmm.
different Ginosko. What changed is how he was doing business. And
Hmm.
I can boldly say it changed his life. It transcend his business from a level. One day he said to me, he said, Simeon, I'm going to sue the bank. I said, why? He said they stole away my youthful age. That if he had known that,
Hmm.
sometimes maybe I can boldly say to you that even you may not know how much impact
Hmm.
you are having on people out there. You may think, oh, okay, okay, I'm writing a book, I'm making impact. But this is one story I can tell you that even me, I was amazed by
Hmm.
the impact the book made on him. Sometimes, because it tells me every time. Every time I read that book, last time we spoke, he said it was on the third time reading the book. He said
Wow.
for every time he reads the book, he sees things he had not seen before.
Wow.
Where the reading brings different interpretation at different times, and for each interpretation, he said that book is like his wallet, where he
Hmm.
has United States dollar, Canadian dollar, Great British pounds,
Hmm.
euros. See, every time he flips through it, he picks out a new currency,
Wow.
chops with it,
That's
and
the
changes.
kingdom currency one, right?
Yeah, the kingdom currency one. So he has made an impact in him, and he's an ardent follower of I think he checks you online, follows up,
Wow.
and also to me, I've read a lot of your book. When this ignite your creativity came up. In fact, when I saw it online, we had a chat. I put in my order on Amazon, had it delivered. In fact, I was reading it like I was intentional about reading it, and I also I go for knowledge. And when I see something great, I go for it. And I can tell you that book is a mine house
Hmm.
full of diamonds, full of gold, full of different kind of minerals. And I've been able to tap into it. And in tapping it, I also apply it in my day-to-day activity. So because no knowledge is a waste.
Hmm.
And being creative is your ability to discover something of impact. So I was able also to discover that there are impacts and great works in those books, and it has also changed the way I see things, different dimension to reasoning and different dimension to doing things.
Wow. That's really amazing, and I'm super excited. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And back to our conversation. What do you think is the most important aspect of business intelligence that every creative individual should be aware of? And I'm talking about this, I'm asking this question for the layperson who is not technical, who is not a business analyst or a business enthusiast, but is interested in this concept that we've just talked about. And he just wants the key elements to boost. whatever he's doing or whatever she's doing in a creative way, what would be your recommendation?
Well, to me, basically, I would say to be successful in that field, you must everything must be broken down in the simplest of form. And Leonardo da Vinci once said, "Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication."
Hmm.
You know, when people want to delve into the business intelligence world, they think of how complex, how big, how wide, how global it is. But one advice I will give is you must have an open mindset. Of course, are there challenges? There are challenges. Are there tightrope you need to work on? There are tightrope you need to work on. But everything is doable. Everything is learnable. You know, I had a professor then in when I was doing my MBA. He said, if you can understand A, B, C, D, you can understand anything.
Yeah.
He said the ability to understand the alphabet puts you in a position that you can actually string anything together. And if you can understand the one, two, three, and how they work, you can actually understand everything together. So in the world of business intelligence, is you must be able to put pen to paper, because as ideas are coming, you are able to write it down. You must in your mind's eye, you must have the ability to formulate pictures in your mind. So
Hmm.
before I start any project, I already have the end in mind. In one of the laws of power, it says always begin with the end in
Hmm.
sight. So, and always have things written down. As a creative person, always have things written down. Have you ever wondered why some ideas may drop in their head in a flash of a second? You know, if you don't write it down, you can't even remember it again. It just
Yeah.
goes. So that's what I tell people, it is written is greater than I saw.
Yeah.
So if I have journals, when I go back to them and I see some things I wrote, and ask myself, how did I think about this idea? And when you have those things written down, you are able to develop them over time, and they put you in a position where you become a better person, because you keep developing yourself, and the you don't just rest on your hours. Keep developing, keep reading. Now, back in the days when everything was in the library, now the world is a global village.
Yeah.
Everything. Some people will say Google is your friend. So there are many tools where information can be obtained, derived, study, learn. The Bible says, study to show yourself approved, a
Yeah.
workman that needs not to be ashamed. You know, one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is in Habakkuk 2, verse 2, where it says, write the vision, make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is for an important time. Because for you to succeed, you must be able to get a pen and a paper and write it down.
Yeah.
A Chinese philosopher once said, a short pencil and a paper is better than the longest of memory. If you want to succeed, man, pen your ideas to paper, and you'll be amazed by how much your level of intellectuality, your level of creativity. You know, as humans, when the Bible says God created man in his image, the level of God's intelligence. On a lighter note, in our local parlance, I heard a man once said, God is omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient," and he said God is omni mini." He said, "Mini," and I listened to him. He said, what? He said, do you people know what omni mini means? He said, God has the ability to break the complex of things to the miniature form,
Hmm.
and to the point where you can understand it. And when you are able to bring a big idea and pen it to paper, you are able to break it in the miniature form, and it puts you in an advantage position. Knowledge is power. Information rules the world. It says what you know makes you a superior person than the next person. So what are you doing with what you know? Or are you willing to gather information? So please,
Yeah.
I can give you for free. Gather information. You never can tell.
Yeah, I really thank you for that. Gather information in an intelligent way and use it in a creative way. I think that sums up what we've just talked about because, like you said, we have petabytes of information of data in our phones. We have access to the internet, And
Mm.
so, as far as I'm concerned, everyone has access to business intelligence. You have access to peak intelligence for your business ideas, for your creative ideas. And it now behooves us, it behooves you to be able to mine those information, mine that intelligence in a creative manner to create something out of what already exists. And that is the crux of innovation and
Mm.
creativity. Thank you so much, Simeon, all the way from Canada. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And I believe someone out there listening to us has received one, two, three, or more things that can be said to be valuable to them and that can help them on their creative journey. And so I think this is a good place to end our conversation today. And to you, my listener on the other side, if you found this valuable, I want to encourage you to share this, like it, comment on it if you're watching on YouTube, drop a good review if you're listening on whatever podcast platform you love listening to, and just help spread the word so that more people get in the zone where creativity rules, where they begin to use their gifts, skills, and talents in a creative way. And so I'm going to bring it down for today. I'll see you in my next episode. Until then, bye bye and have a good one.